there's a mic. Any questions? If not, I'm happy to keep firing away.
There's two, actually.
Are there?
Yeah.
Your eyesight's better than mine. Okay, back there I see.
Hi,
Please tell us who you are.
Matt Kajala from Moco Space. You've been using Admob since day one, as you know, Omar.
I know.
What are your thoughts on Latin America and South America?
So, I think they're going to be important markets as well. I haven't been following them as closely. We haven't seen, I would say that I haven't seen the growth I was expecting in those markets as quickly as I was expecting to see it, I suppose. So even a year ago, we were starting to think about making deeper investments in that space, and we just didn't see it taking off as quickly as we thought. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it was a carrier thing or if it was a data plans thing or a billing thing. I do know that we're starting to see more significant pickup now, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen the way I expected. It didn't happen as soon as I expected it to. We didn't see a huge pickup in those markets, at least a year back or so. But we also tend to just follow the traffic. We weren't really ever proactive about trying to make something happen in a market. We would just sort of look at the logs and see what was happening in an interesting way. And we didn't see a huge pickup in those markets.
Is that a smartphone penetration issue, do you think?
It could be, but even before even before the iPhone and before smartphones, it could be just the data plan issue. I mean, in markets where carriers had restrictive or hard to understand data pricing plans. I mean, we should remember the U.S., right? I mean, it wasn't always all you can eat. Now it's going away from all you can eat. But before then, it was really confusing, and people just didn't open their web browser because they were worried about what they were going to get charged. And I think in markets that are still like that, you just don't see data getting used.
There's another question back here.
Oliver Gunseco from Senior Foundation. So a question on the use of display ads on the home screen of a device to offer subsidies. Do you think that that's a model that will be successful?
Display ads to offer subsidies. Do you mean subsidies for like carrier billing or things like that?
Subsidies for the upfront price. So instead of buying an iPhone for $200 and your 2-year data plan, you might buy it for $50 because you're accepting a display ad on the home screen.
Right. So I think that the issue that happens with those types of things is that anytime I've seen an attempt to subsidize money that the carriers or handset manufacturers are making, it's essentially been it would require the wrong order of magnitude of advertising dollars in order to make it worth it. So if you just think of the overall carrier ecosystem, I know you're talking about a hardware subsidy, but let's just think about overall in terms of what carriers are making. They're making trillions of dollars, right? All of digital advertising is in tens of billions of dollars. So we're just in the wrong. That's digital like online. That's not even mobile. Mobile, I said was barely a billion. So we're just in the wrong order of magnitude in order to effectively subsidize the cost that you would get from the user base. It's $150 in this case. If we took a $200 phone to $50, we'd have to make over the lifetime of the user $150 in advertising. I don't think we're there yet.
Let me ask about effectiveness too.
Yeah.
Advertising that's not contextual, which that probably wouldn't be if it were on your home screen,
right,
tends to be less effective, right? So
that's correct.
Would that be a problem?
Yes, it's absolutely a problem. I mean, it's not contextual, it tends to be less effective, and display advertising in general tends to be less effective than search advertising, right? When you're searching for something, then you have intent. So you sort of have this scale, and just putting a display ad on a home screen, I don't see it subsidizing that much. I mean, it's enough to subsidize development costs of applications and games and build an actual very credible business and mobile sites and all those for publishers. But it's not at the point where it should be subsidizing hardware any more than Google Ads should be subsidizing PCs.
Are
right?
there ways?
I mean, on the PC, it doesn't make sense to subsidize the hardware.
I guess it's
been
tried.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Lots of
companies.
people tried.
Yeah.
Didn't quite work. Are there ways that you're working on using Google search data better to improve the effectiveness of the former Admob, now Google mobile display advertising? Because you just talked about the difference in effectiveness between search and display.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that. We're 5 weeks in, so we're still trying to figure out how to put the display networks together. So we haven't gotten to the point of figuring out how all those pieces could fit together.
Is that important to do longer term?
Certainly. I mean, we want to make sure that everything fits together, but just what you talked about right now, we also have to be really sensitive to privacy issues and other things. So, I mean, what we need to do is figure out an optimal way to put the pieces together that will deliver more relevant advertising to users, but we need to be very careful about how we use the data.
So one more question up here. I see there's another one back there. If this is quick, maybe we'll get to it. I see we're almost out of time.
Hi, Jonathan Goldberg, Deutsche Bank. Just a real quick question I wanted on future phones. We had Qualcomm and AT&T talking a lot about things like BreWMP, trying to add web features to feature phones. Not really a smartphone, no apps necessarily, but high-end feature phone. What would it take to make that a successful ad platform? Is there any hope?
I think that from an, and this is important, like when we talk about things that matter to us, what we do care about is platforms for advertising, right? So anytime we say something, it's not about the number of units being sold. There are tons of feature phones. It's just people aren't necessarily using them as much. I don't think feature phones are ever going to reach the level of usage that we're seeing out of these smartphone platforms. And if the usage isn't there and the smartphone platforms are growing as fast as they're growing, it's unlikely that it's going to garner a lot of attention as an advertising platform. It's really more about attention. Every advertising company or developer has to give their attention to something. They don't have unlimited attention, and they're going to go after a lot of usage plus a lot of growth is good enough.